Hello and welcome everyone to season 2 of the UHL. Oh man, I'm so excited to be here. My name is Bodicus. Welcome everyone. And I am going to be your host for this evening. Joining me is my good old co-caster over there, Wicked Good. Say hi everybody. Hopefully they can hear you.
Hopefully they can hear me. Hopefully you can hear me out in Twitch land, and I'm so excited. The Witchwood is here. UHL is here. Everything is, finally coming to pass, and we've gotten rid of Kolai Oracle. We haven't gotten rid of Shadow Step, but that's okay. And but lots of new decks to try, and I'm really excited to see what these two great competitors have brought to the table. I mean, we've seen the decks. It's going to be a fun time.
Oh yeah, we got some really interesting choices here, a couple of great players. But before we get into that too much, let's kind of go over what's happening here. So, for those of you who are new, this is the UHL, the United Hearthstone League. It's a league brought together through content creators and just a bunch of awesome people, streamers, casters, podcasters, just a kind of a mix of everybody coming together and playing in a league for all of your enjoyment. We have a Today we're going to have a match between Toast the Badger and the Green Speed from the podcast The Daring Reporter, facing off in a best of 5. I'm actually going to bring up the rules real quick so we can kind of go over it and you all can see what's going to happen today.
Oh. Yeah, but you may want to just check the audio because Dragon Rider's saying they can't hear us. Yeah, well, I don't know. Let me know if you can hear me while I'm talking. But yeah, what happened last season is we had different people take different approaches to how they were going to bring things to the league. There was a lot of strategy involved in when you pick which class, because some classes are going to be obviously better than others, and how do you mix those in to give yourself the best chance to win in any given week. We had some players who decided to take all of the bad classes, dump them all into 1 week, and just make it a meme week and then put all their stronger classes into the final 2 weeks. Some of them decided to have one subpar class mixed in with two stronger classes. We had some players who were just decided to go their own, and they were going to build their own decks and see how they did. We had some players who just took all the meta decks and picked whichever ones were going to work out. There's a lot of metagaming in terms of knowing what the other competitors are playing, and then and what their style is, and try to predict what they're going to play, and then try to counter punch what they're going to, like on a 1 week meta, as opposed to in a tournament where you're trying to counter the entire meta. You're just trying to counter that one person and what they're likely to bring. And then there's kind of mind games that go back and forth there. So it's exciting. And we have 2 new competitors this week, so they may not have a whole lot of idea of what each other's styles are. So that, we may not see that this week, but after a couple weeks, as the players get to know each other and know their styles and be able to see what they've done in past weeks, it starts to get very interesting with some of the strategies and counter strategies.
Right, so everybody kind of missed what I was saying because I did not add my audio to the scene, but either way,
that'll do it.
Either way, so basically the format is going to be best of 5 conquest format. Obviously, the players have to choose 3 different classes every week for the first 3 weeks, and then it resets and that repeats. So it kind of gives a variety. You have to play all 9 classes over the course of those 3 weeks. You get to see a bunch of different decks. It's going to be really awesome. I figured we'd do a quick preview of what we got going on today. So we're going to have Toast the Badger is going to be playing. I can bring it up. She will be playing Warlock, Shaman, and Priest versus Greenspeed, who will be playing Mage, Rogue, and Paladin. So, pretty interesting. Interesting set here. What do you kind of think of each person's choices for the 3 different classes they chose to bring Wicked?
So it looks like, I mean, Shaman, Warlock, and Priest are pretty. I mean, Warlock is pretty much one of the safest bets you can have going into the first week. It's changed the least. Anyone who was playing Q Block or Control Warlock is going to be pretty comfortable. It looks like Toast decided to bring the Shutterwalk OTK deck in addition to a standard looking Q Block, and then the Mind Blast Control Priest, which Theo took the #1 legend. And that's a pretty fun list that relies on Mind Blast and Anduin to set up an OTK.
Seems exactly like your kind of deck.
Oh, I played a little bit of it today. I'm not quite getting it yet, but I'm getting there. It's see, the problem is it ends the game too quickly. It doesn't let me, embarrass my opponent, but that's, Shutterwalk kind of gets in the way of that now. So it's, I guess we're all happier. So Greenspeed has decided to go a little bit his own way and kind of take advantage of the fact that the meta is so fresh that you can really play whatever you want right now. So he's got a fairly standard looking control mage list that I'm not sure if it's even running any Witchwood card. Oh, it's running Voodoo Doll, and that's the only card from the new set. So, pretty standard looking control mage. And then his other classes are going a little bit more in an interesting direction. So he's got a Death Rattle Rogue featuring Dollmaster Dorian that I'm very excited to see how this plays out. And then a Quest Paladin. So Galvadon is in the building, and I'm very excited to see how this plays out.
Yeah, it should be pretty interesting. I think we're gonna start getting the players ready. We're about to go live here in just a moment. So real quick, just while I get the players ready, why don't you kind of talk about some of the decks you've been playing, some of the decks you've been seeing? What do you kind of think so far of Witchwood? Because we've only had it a few days. It's pretty interesting that these two are gonna play so quickly to when the set came out.
Yeah, I mean the meta got. I was actually surprised to not see any of the even or odd paladin, because that is really been the story of the first couple of days. Warlock obviously doesn't really need a whole lot of help, and Q Block is still a perfectly good deck. Spiteful Druid and Spiteful Priest have been relatively successful. Tempo Rogue's been relatively successful. The Shutterwalk OTK deck has obviously been the other big story of the meta, but that's also its impact and its win rate are two very different things. But this Mind Blast Priest is really good. I tried that out a little bit on ladder today, and it's pretty solid, especially with all the paladins on board. Not playing against an even or odd paladin, I'm not sure how well it's going to fare against Quest Paladin, because that's the one. It's probably the one deck I haven't played against today. But that's kind of an interesting take on a control priest. There's also a taunt druid with Hadronox that I've been playing a decent amount of. It seems pretty good. There's an APX Void has an aggro mage with Cinderstorm and Alaneth, and he's not running Vexcrow, but I started putting Vexcrow in the version I'm running, and that card is good. I like that card a lot. So I'm really happy with how. I was actually just talking to Ridiculous Hat about this earlier today, and we were both kind of thinking about how diverse the meta is, even compared to like week 1 metas from like Ungoro or Old Gods, where there's just every class has some sort of representation, and every class has at least one, if not 2 viable decks, and the even and odd mechanics really helping push things in a very different direction. So it's an exciting time to be playing Hearthstone. and you really don't know what you're going to run up against.
Yep, exactly. Sorry, I was just messaging everybody, making sure we're all good to go.
Yep.
They're getting set up, and I'm about to get this going. I'm just going to set myself to busy so I don't get any little messages popping up.
Yep.
And let's see. So I need to. They're just prepping to battle. We're about ready to go into game 1 of day 1 of UHL season 2. I'm so excited to see how this goes.
Welcome to opening day, everybody.
Yeah, I appreciate everybody bearing with us as I make sure try to get everything going on the stream properly. And I'll just click this here if it'll let me.
Okay, and looks like the players are getting into game right now.
Yep. All right. Okay. So load this.
So it looks like we are going to be starting with Toast on the Warlock and Greenspeed on the Quest Paladin. So we are getting right into Galvadon country right away.
I will fight with honor.
Okay.
Okay.
Interesting.
Let's see. Did that not go? There we go.
Yeah. Let's see. See if it lets me. There we go. Okay. Perfect.
Yeah. Oh, and well, that's the turn 1 you expect with a Quest Paladin. You're going to start with the Quest because that's the reason. That's the reason for the season.
Yep.
So
I kind of wonder how this matchup usually goes here. I wonder even if Toast expected Greenspeed to be leading with something like this.
I would imagine not. I would imagine if Toast was expecting Quest Paladin, she's got some sort of ESP that we don't know about. Okay, so we're gonna go with the Potion of Heroism right on the 1/1. Start getting the quest ticks off right away. It's a pretty good way to do it too, because you make that minion a little bit more resilient, and then you also get to draw another card, which gets you more of your buffs.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. You know, Toast's hand looks really good against this kind of start, especially with Greenspeed going in on this Blessing of Might on the Silver Hand recruit. She has the answer right away with double Mortal Coil if she decides to do that, which it looks like she will. Do.
Yep. And then she's got a Hellfire ready for whatever comes out next turn.
Ooh, and that's a big draw. The Skull of the Minari coming off the draw there means that she's just going to be able to coin that out next turn, and you know,
Greenspeed doesn't really have anything to do here. I mean, he can drop the Righteous Protector and Hero Power, but he doesn't really have. He may not even want a Hero Power because of Defile. And he chooses not to.
Okay, pretty interesting. Toast is just going to coin out that weapon right there, and I don't believe that Greenspeed has any weapon removal in his deck, so that's just going to be, you know, getting value over the next few turns for Toast there.
Yeah, he doesn't. He has a lot of things, and he has a Rebuke that he can use at some point to try to disrupt a big Carnivorous Cube turn, but he does not have any way to get rid of that Skull of Minari, and none of these cards in his hand really do anything for him right now. He doesn't want the Wild Pyromancer. The Equality doesn't do anything. Consecration he's probably saving for later. Linessa's not good for a while. And here comes the Doomguard.
Yeah, that's kind of one of the biggest problems with a card like Rebuke from the Paladin deck is just the Toast deck is actually a large number of creatures in it, so most of the time she's just gonna be able to kind of play a creature on the turns when Greenspeed goes for something like a Rebuke.
Yeah, and no, well, I guess he can Equality Consecration this turn if he so chooses. He did pick up the Rebuke. I don't know what that really does for him right now.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. He's got the two choices there of Pyromancer, Equality, or Equality Consecrate. Definitely feels like a turn you want to Equality Consecrate, but the problem is Greenspeed doesn't know that Toast doesn't have any more demons in hand. So going for something like Equality this early, he could just be running right into a Void Lord coming down off the weapon there.
Yeah, I might have actually liked a quality Pyro Rebuke to kind of disrupt the 6-mana turn, where you have the the cube or the lackey and the dark pact, and then still have the 3/1 behind. But since Toast doesn't have it, it's kind of irrelevant.
Yep.
But that, again, that's the problem with the rebuke, is that you have to use it hoping that that's the turn, and sometimes it's not. Oh, Primal Fin Champion is comes into the hand.
Yep.
And that would be a lot more useful if Greenspeed had any buffs in his hand, but he doesn't right now. So,
and unfortunately, this Lanessa just hasn't had any cards to be able to buff it this turn.
Well, he could play that and draw a card with the Divine Shield.
They'll serve me now.
Yeah,
Which he
could and get a 4/1, 7-mana 4/1
Yeah.
draw card.
Seems good.
All right, second Doomguard coming out for Toast.
Wax
here.
Elemental is interesting though, because
Yeah.
at least that gets in the way.
It's actually, now that Toast has used both of her Mortal Coils and one of the Defiles, it's actually a kind of a pain to get through this Wax Elemental. And also using the Dark Pact last turn means that it's unlikely that she's going to be able to cube next turn. Obviously, she could wait 2 turns and just kind of go with the Umbra cube in the same turn, assuming the Doomguard is alive until then. But I still just don't know what Greenspeed's going to do here.
I kind of would like the Lanessa just to draw, but he's not going for that plan. He's just putting bodies on the board. Going to play Rebuke to try to... It doesn't even really stave off the Defile, but it does stave off the Hellfire. And that Void Lord comes down, and that is... Oh, and there's a Mountain Giant, too. This is starting to get out of hand very quickly.
Yeah, and we already see the Gul'dan in hand as well. Faceless could come down. It doesn't really matter if it comes down on the Void Lord or the Doomguard. Looks like Greenspeed's just in a lot of trouble here. He's already used 1 equality, so all of these giant minions are just kind of in the way.
Yeah.
Toast ends up going with the Doomguard. I kind of like this, assuming that
Call to Arms could help though.
Yeah, assuming that Greenspeed doesn't have the second equality, this kind of makes it more likely that she's going to be able to cube a Doomguard next turn with the Umbra. So
yeah, I mean, even if she doesn't, right? As long as she hits once, and he doesn't have healing in his deck, then she's 2 turns away from a Gul'dan that could drop at least 15 power charging out.
Yeah. I don't really see how Greenspeed's going to get out of this game. It just, he didn't have a great start. I feel like the way that you're able to beat the Cube Block deck in a situation like this is to get kind of an early minion and start buffing it right away.
Yeah.
Pulling out a little bit of the the threaten emote there.
Yeah, and it's worth saying, like, a lot of times the reason that this quest Paladin does fall down is because of silence, but Toast's not actually running any silence in her deck. So this could... Oh, yeah, because she's going to get the... So she's playing the Umbra and then playing the Cube to get two more Doomguards, and then going into the Gul'dan turn where she's going to get all those back again, assuming that they get wiped. And they may not, because Greenspeed doesn't have anything... Uther? Does Uther help?
Uther gains a lot of life, but I don't think it's nearly enough life.
Yeah,
and
that Void Lord is in the way right now.
And the problem is, even if he had something like an equality here to go with the Pyromancer, it just kills the Carnivorous Cube, and she gets 2 more Doomguards and Gul'dan. So, to be expected, Cube Block doing Cube Block things.
I mean, Cube Block's still a very strong deck, and there's no, when it gets the draw that it needs. That's what the kind of thing that it's going to do. It's going to just keep throwing Doomguards at your face, and if you don't have a way to clear them, and you only have the 1 equality that you've got access to, that's unfortunately what happens. It's sometimes Q-Block's going to Q-Block.
Yep. And without any bans in a format like this, since we're doing best of 5, you're guaranteed to see all the 9 decks over the course of 2 weeks.
Yeah,
means that Warlock just gets to wreak havoc.
Yep. We were going to take a break in between the first two games, but we'll have to let them know to take a break before the next game. But
Right.
so it looks like we're going right into the Shaman versus the Paladin, and this might give Greenspeed a bit more of a chance because the Shaman does take a lot longer to get going than the Q block does.
Yeah, and outside of cards like Hex, it's going to be hard for Toast to interact with Greenspeed's minions. So let's kind of check out some of the choices that Toast has in her Shudderwalk Shaman deck, which is what this is here. Looks to be pretty standard. She has the double Hex, running double Volcano, so running kind of all of the standard removal spells. Only one Lightning Storm, but I think that's this all looks fairly standard to me.
I mean, standard for a three-tail meta, I guess. But yeah, it's only the one Fire Plume Harbinger. I don't know if you generally run one or two of those, but you have the two Life Drinkers, one Sandbinder, two Witchwood Pipers. You have two Volcanoes, Grumble, Shudderwalk, just kind of the standard things. One Gluttonous Ooze to deal with some of the weapons, which may be relevant in this matchup. We're just going to Farsight to get a free Healing Rain, which will probably come in handy later.
Right, and I
obviously
guess
you want that to hit something a little bit bigger than that, but even so.
Yeah, I guess we should kind of maybe talk a little bit about what the Shudderwalk deck is trying to do. So the combo with Shudderwalk is basically Shudderwalk says to replay all other battle cries that you have played this game. So the way it wins is generally by stalling out the game until you get to the later portions of the game, and along the way you need to play the following cards. You need to play Serenite Chain Gang, which she is playing right now. This, when you play Shudderwalk, will actually create a copy of the Shudderwalk, not a copy of Serenite Chain Gang. And so it uses the other battle cries of, it uses Life Drinker, which is a 4-mana 3/3 new card. The battle cry deals 3 damage to your opponent and gains 3 life for yourself. And then also uses Murmuring Elemental and Grumble World Shaker to essentially return the other copies of Shudderwalk to your hand and makes it cost 1 mana, so that when you have 10 mana, you can just play a bunch of Shudderwalks, get a ton of triggers from your Life Drinkers, and kind of end the game.
And the Murmuring Elemental is required because the battle cries from Shudderwalk are done in random order, so you need the Murmuring Elemental to guarantee that there will be a second copy of Shudderwalk on the board when it gets returned to your hand.
Right. So, yeah, it's a
lot to do.
It's a very lengthy combo, and one of the keys is you do have to get a Murmuring Elemental in your hand to cost 1, because obviously Shudderwalk costs 9, and so when you have 10 mana, you can play the Murmuring Elemental, then play the Shudderwalk, and assuming you've played all of the other battle cries up until then, you're guaranteed to get a Shudderwalk back to your hand to combo on the next turn.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Greenspeed is halfway to his quest at this point, though that Hex is very, very timely, because that's going to keep that Blessing of Might from coming back to the hand when that Primal Fin Champion dies, because if you are not familiar with Primal Fin Champion, and I don't blame you, when it dies, it returns any spells cast on it back to the hand. So if Toast decides to Hex that, then that will keep that from happening, but it looks like she's just going to play the Life Drinker.
Yeah, and I kind of like this play. Like, Hex can be used on a much more significant target than this.
Like
especially,
that.
Yeah, exactly. Like, having the Spike Ridge Steed go down onto this is just a significantly better target for that Hex.
Yeah. And it not getting hexed here is kind of the green light for Greenspeed to go ahead and put more onto it. So, really heads up play by Toast by slow playing the Hex and letting Greenspeed put more onto that Primal Fin Totem before using it.
Yep, and this matchup's kind of going exactly how Toast is envisioning it going. Greenspeed just not really able to get off to a quick start where he can buff up his minions and put pressure on her. It's going to take a fairly specific draw from him to be able to kind of get back in this game. I think one of the big ways he does get back in this game is by drawing another spell that targets a minion, getting Galvadon in play, making it so that it can't just die to like the second Hex or any like easy removal, and then getting Wind Fury on it and hopefully being able to hit Toast for a bunch that she's not expecting.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing that really can clear it at that point is going to be a Volcano, and and that's assuming that it doesn't have a big enough butt to survive it. Right now, though, this doesn't really seem like a board that you really want to spend a Consecrate on, but we are going to put the Wild Pyro down. Just needs to find some more buffs to be able to get to Galvadon, at this point, and...
Yeah, I think I actually don't hate playing like the Spellbreaker there on the Spell Power Totem, just because there's not a whole lot of cards in the Shutterwalk deck that you really need to silence. I guess one of them would be that Doomsayer, but you really need to put on some pressure, especially since you haven't finished your quest yet.
Oh yeah, this is strong too. So you got the Lightning Storm to clear off the board, then putting the Loop Porter down behind it to try to get more draw. And ultimately, this is the way to think about this deck is basically like Quest Mage 2.0, where it's just trying to draw through its deck as quickly as possible to get all the pieces played and then drop the Shutterwalk and end the game. So here comes Uther. And it'll be interesting to see which direction he decides to go in. I would think you probably want to just go face, but he decides to take the 3/3 out.
Unfortunately, I believe Jordan probably knows that there are cards like Healing Rain and just ways for Toast to kind of gain all that life. Oof, and that Gluttonous is brutal.
Yeah, because the one way that you play against this deck is you just ignore everything and you go face and you hope for the best.
Yeah.
And but it's kind of a little bit late for that plan anyway.
Yeah, unfortunately, Jordan hasn't really seen one of the key cards from the new set yet in what is it? Ring the Bells? I should know the name.
Yeah, sound the bells.
Sound the Bells.
Yeah.
It's kind of a pretty big inclusion, and the fact that he hasn't drawn one in either game, I think, is kind of hurting him a bit here. Now he really wants to, complete this quest, considering going Equality Consecrate here before adapting, just to kind of retain toughness in case he has to increase the toughness.
I mean, he could do it all anyway. Yeah.
I guess the other option was to complete the quest and play Galvadon this turn.
Yeah. And then Shutterwalk does come into hand for Toast.
Right,
I didn't get to see what the adapt options were, but he decides to put the +1/+1 on the 2/2 to come out of the Uther hero power and completes the quest with Galvadon. Unfortunately, Toast has Shutterwalk and 2 copies of Healing Rain in her hand right now.
Right. So really, all she needs left is Grumble. So
and the Fire Plume Harbinger. To be able to discount it.
One thing you can actually do is you can play Murmuring Elemental and then play Grumble right afterwards, and that actually reduces the cost of Murmuring to 1, so that you can go off with the Murmuring Shutterwalk. So
right, but she also doesn't have Grumble in hand either,
exactly.
So she still need to find Grumble, and she needs to find. Whether it be that or the Fire Plume Harbinger, some way to discount that Murmuring Elemental. But this Doomsayer is we do have the Spellbreaker to deal with the Doomsayer.
Yep. So saving the Spellbreaker might pay off here, because you definitely could play Spellbreaker and Galvadon, but I really think that Green Speed is worried about a Volcano coming out if he decides to silence the Doomsayer. But one thing I did find, because I played this deck a few times, is that by silencing the Doomsayer, it actually makes it pretty hard for the Shaman to get a Volcano that full clears everything, just because there's so much toughness on the Doomsayer that eats up a lot of the Volcano hits.
Yeah, it potentially eats up almost half of it, and I mean, even you're going to get a decent amount of butt on the Galvadon, but he just does let the Doomsayer go off and passes back to Toast, who pulls another Doomsayer right back into hand, so we can start this all over again if she so chooses, which I'm not sure what else she would really be able to do with this hand other than that.
Right, she might hold off on a turn. It's pretty
Yeah.
hard for Jordan to get together a board that is able to deal with a Doomsayer for the most part. And the fact that he didn't deal with it last turn, maybe Toast is thinking that, oh, he didn't have a way to deal with it, so I can just hold this Doomsayer till he plays something else, and then
Yeah.
you know, play the Doomsayer behind something else.
And then this is certainly something else. This is a big minion. This Lanessa.
Yep. Unfortunately,
And
as we can see,
wow.
the second hex in hand is going to do wonders.
Yeah. Well, but that second hex was also kind of earmarked for Galvadon, so that does open the door for Galvadon to come out.
Yeah, unfortunately, a lot of times if you expect the hex, you end up going for can't be targeted by spells or abilities with Galvadon,
Yeah,
so
true.
I actually don't mind using it on Lanessa. It's really their Quest Paladin's next biggest, thing to deal with.
I mean, as much as anyone has experience playing against the Quest Paladin.
Fair enough.
So here comes Galvadon. So, if you were expecting that Nosdormu was going to be the end of UHL shenanigans last season, we are starting opening day. It looks like he thinking about it again. But it looks like we're very likely going to see a Galvadon, which is not something you see every day.
Right.
Still thinking about it though. Going to trade first. He does have the call to arms, which he could bring in. He could do both even if he wants to, but it looks like here's the Galvadon.
I kind of wish I had the Kibler song queued up right now.
Yeah. So +3 Wind Fury right off the bat. That's good.
Good one.
Divine Shield.
Knows that he doesn't have to choose. He doesn't have to choose. Can't be targeted by spells because of the fact that both hexes have already been used. So he's just gonna make the biggest power that he can, and hopefully can try to end the game in 2 turns here.
Yeah.
Ooh, but that was a great draw.
Oh, that volcano is huge right now.
Does she have enough? I think she's actually short damage though.
She
With the
has spell
volcano.
power, so it's 16. She's gonna have to try for it anyway.
She goes for it.
Let's see what
that's
happens.
a lot of damage on her opponent's side of the board. Oh, there goes a few things on hers. Oh, and the Galvadon survives. Oh no.
Well, she can still roll for taunts.
Yeah, or she
and
could
she does-
play a life drinker. I don't know that the life drinker.
Well, she
does
has a
whole
free healing
lot.
range, so she can heal up to full.
Yeah, I think you probably save that though for next turn potentially.
Well, you also have the 3-mana one you could use now too.
Okay, gets healing totem.
Doomsayer also does soak 11 damage potentially.
Okay. Decides to go for the Doomsayer. That's pretty interesting. Well, I guess she's out of
She doesn't have any other way to
taunt
deal with
minions.
this. Yeah.
All right.
So we're gonna get the Stonehill, but the Spellbreaker is gonna answer that. So
Yeah.
heads up play by Greenspeed, holding on to that Spellbreaker for as long as he has, even through letting the first Doomsayer go off, and now it's gonna pay dividends for the second Doomsayer.
Yep.
Now it's gonna be 22 damage right to the face.
Oh man, I think the out of nowhere
Wow.
Greenspeed might have just come back in this game.
Let's see. Well, we have a draw. I mean, Toast can still heal for 12. That brings her to 21. She has a 50-50 on taunt. No, and that's it. Galvadon has taken a game.
Oh, hold on. I need to pause them.
Yep, just let them know that we need to take a break. But
Pause.
I mean, if you were
I don't think it's gonna go
wondering
through
if we could
because-
top last season with Nosdormu in the finals and Nosdormu in the opening week, Galvadon is the new Nosdormu.
All right.
Wow.
So, let's see. So, in between games, we need to take a moment to thank our sponsors of the United Hearthstone League. Let's see. I need to switch scenes. to this. Do we? I guess I should have researched this before we started. But for those of you who are interested in supporting this awesome broadcast, I have a little graphic up there. You can go to patreon.com/UnitedHSLeague and donate to the Patreon. And then in between games, we will make sure to shout you out and have this totally prepared, unlike I do currently. Just give me a sec. Why don't you talk about that last game real quick?
Yeah, I mean, I think that, that's one thing that you've seen with the Shutterwalk decks is that they do take a long time to set up, and they have to draw everything that they need, which is, again, just like the Quest Mage. So if you can stick a minion that can just do damage and you use up all of their countermeasures, which in this case is really just the hexes. I mean, the Volcano was the other way that you deal with it, but the Volcano with the Silence Doomsayer was kind of diffused, and that's what left the opening for Greenspeed to be able to take the lethal with the Wind Fury and the 11 attack. It's really, really great patience being able to bait out the Hex with the Lanessa, which was really the key play, and then drop the Galvadon behind it, because the Lanessa was not going to be able to generate that much pressure that quickly, because generally you can't really whittle down a Shutterwalk Shaman. You really need to just burst them down all at once, because the Healing Rains and the Life Drinkers and everything else just kind of add up to too much healing to be able to just kind of chip away at them.
Right. So anyway, I just checked, and it looks like we currently don't have any people of the level to support, but if you support $5, you can get a shout out every single or during the week that you pledge to the United Hearthstone League Patreon. So make sure you check that out if you feel like what we're doing is of value to you and want to support a great cause. Ferris Biscuit has been putting a ton of work into this, and we really like to see him make sure that he meets his goals to kind of fund everything and keep this thing going. So anyway, I'm going to tell them that okay, go ahead and start. All right, I'm going to have them start the next game here, and I will transition back as soon as they have started. So that means that just waiting on them to start the next game. All right, and here we go back
and we're
into
back
game 3.
And it is 1-1. So we are going to Toast on the Priest versus Greenspeed on the Death Rattle Rogue.
Yeah, so this is really interesting. We've seen a lot of rogues doing quite well with the tempo version. I'm interested to see kind of what bonus things that Greenspeed's able to get by running all these death rattles. I think a big boon to a deck like this is they just received a new card called Dollmaster Dorian, which is a 5-mana 2/6, and whenever you draw a minion, it actually puts a 1/1 copy of that minion into play. So Greenspeed really trying to take advantage of that, needs to be able to develop a board in front of the Dollmaster Dorian to kind of make sure that it stays alive so that he's able to draw multiple cards and
Roll the Bones would work with that too. This is something that I know that Dane Hearth has tried in Wild and has had some success with. I have not seen it done in Standard, so I'm very interested to see how this turns out.
Yeah, Roll the Bones, really an underutilized card that we haven't seen a lot, because I don't think that there's been a deck that can really utilize it to its full potential. But if you look at this deck list, there are so many cards that kind of will allow Greenspeed to just really draw a whole ton of cards with the Roll the Bones. I'd be worried that with as many death rattles as he has, he might overdraw.
Well, it's as long as you don't have more than it's still a 50-50 on every draw, right? To whether you're going to get a death rattle or not. So you can overdraw, but it's not very likely. you'd have to have every minion in your. Basically have to have 28 cards and 2 copies of Roll the Bones to really be worried about it.
Right. And so, yeah, Toast going for the card draw here. Greenspeed's going to take out that Northshire Cleric, but I think Toast is still pretty happy with that exchange. She got a few cards out of Greenspeed and was able to draw a card, so it didn't really cost her a whole lot and kind of puts her pretty far ahead.
And that is a very good boy.
That is a good boy. Arthas, not a card we've seen a whole lot of.
Yeah. But, getting one Death Knight card, in a deck where you're going to be taking advantage of a lot of Death Rattle synergies is not bad.
That's actually quite good.
And the Scale Worm takes that right out, gives him an Obliterate. That's perfectly fine against this deck. You're not upset about that at all.
So this is a pretty interesting card there from Toast, the Scale Worm. It's a new card we've been seeing popping up a lot lately. Kind of fits into the new priest decks that are trying to still play, their really powerful cards in Dustbreaker and cards like that.
Yeah, you have Dustbreaker, you still have Primordial Drake, that's still a card that's played. This Harrison's gonna draw 2 more cards, and presumably she's gonna have to, I think that brings her up to 10, so she's gonna have to throw the coin away, and then, well, not even throw the coin away, you can still play the Cleric behind it. So that's a turn right there.
Right.
Draw 2 cards, coin out a Cleric seems good.
Yeah, kind of offering this Cleric up to just... It's pretty interesting she decided to use coin for that. I guess she was... she would have overdrawn had she not used it.
Yeah.
But
yeah, so then if she's going to use the coin, then she may as well play the Cleric out. And I mean, she's drawn enough at this point that she may not really need the card draw off the Cleric at this point. I mean, she's already got 8 cards in hand. She's got pretty much whatever she needs in the form of Shadow Visions. She's got a Psychic Scream if things go really bad in a turn or 2. She's got plenty of healing from Divine Hymn. Really, like, the only thing she's going to be missing is like a Dustbreaker or something like that to be able to clear a wide board. And the Mind Blasts are the other thing that she needs, but she can get those out of the Shadow Visions.
Alright, so Greenspeed's just going to go for the Obliterate on the Harrison Jones, just kind of get a bunch of power off the table. But, I mean, in terms of a deck like Greenspeed's, it looks like it's mostly like a value-centric deck.
Yeah.
Like, a lot of the Death Rattles are trying to get extra value. You have the Spellstone, which you're trying to, play a bunch of Death Rattles and get 2 and 3 for ones from it. But, I mean, Toast deck is just playing a much better value game at this point. She had her Northshire Cleric that generated her some cards, and... that Harrison generated a couple cards. It just seems like she's pretty far ahead at this point.
Yeah, and I guess the question that, is hard to see right now is, like, what's the end game with the Death Rattle Rogue, right? Like, it's not clear other than just, like, generate. Maybe that's enough. Maybe just generating a whole bunch of bodies and just having them keep coming back is enough.
Right. You gotta wonder what Jordan's thinking here on this turn. Do we want to use the Spellstone in hand? And I guess we are. I guess we are going to, because maybe he doesn't know he may be thinking that this is like an Inner Fire combo priest deck, and you really don't want a 9 health minion sticking on the board like that.
Yeah. I mean, he's not really seen very many minions up to this point, so he may not really feel like he needs to get the value off of the Spellstone. And this really isn't a deck that's going to be spamming a lot of minions on the board anyway. If he's figured out what he's playing against, he knows that he doesn't really have to worry about a lot of minions. He really needs to be worrying about a couple of minions whittling him down, or, not having a way to heal up from Alexstrasza hitting him in the face and then getting pummeled with Mind Blasts.
It's kind of funny that I was about to say that Rogue is not really known for having a lot of healing, so getting this extra Mind Blast for Toast there is actually, like, considered, like, quite good usually. But we see the double Rotten Apple Bomb is actually a pretty interesting card that is in this Death Rattle Rogue deck.
Yeah. I'm surprised that there's no copies of Cheat Death in this deck, because I would kind of think that would be a natural fit too, to kind of get the extra value off of the Death Rattles. Yeah, this Primordial Drake's going to clean up this Abomination pretty nicely and still leave a 4/6 behind. We have 2 copies of Roll the Bones now, but still no Doll Master Dorian to go behind it, but we're going to play one of those anyway, and yep, just gets one card, unfortunately.
Unfortunately, I think
And
one of
that's a
these rotten
backstab,
apple
that's
bombs
what
has to come down, right?
I would imagine so. Yeah. I mean, I don't.
It blocks the primordial direct pretty well.
Yeah, and you can't fan at this point to just get another cycle. So yeah, you pretty much have to drop that.
Yeah, I really think he was trying to save one of the roll the bones to pair with Dollmaster Dorian. I think that's kind
absolutely.
of
Yeah.
the goal here. Ends
Oh,
up
this
taking a
Dustbreaker's
lot of
perfect,
he's
huh?
taking a lot of damage on face from these weapon hits. I'm kind of wondering if that's what he wants to be doing.
Yeah, I mean, I guess he figures right now he's going to get it back because you attack for 4, but you're going to heal for 5, almost guaranteed. I mean, the priest does run Mass Dispel. Usually, I have to check to see if it's in Toast's list.
That's a new
But it does,
card
yeah,
there, right there. Divine Him.
Yeah, that's a Divine Him is really like one of the superstars of this set. It is so powerful.
Yeah,
and
even
it does
there
something
it was
yeah.
basically just a binding heal, right? Is
Yeah.
very similar to a binding heal, but quite strong.
Yeah, I mean, it's a binding heal that can be a lot more than that, especially when you have a cleric on the board. It's really hard to overstate how powerful that card is right now. Here comes the Voodoo Doll, which will help.
Right. And he's just gonna kind of try to keep cycling through his deck,
Yep.
putting out a similar board to what he had last turn. He'd actually really like to draw something like a Dollmaster Dorian would be a great draw.
Yeah, it sure would. But I mean, Toast is also one Anduin draw away from ending this game at this point.
Right.
The Alex Straza, I'm actually surprised that she's going to go in this quickly, though. I think maybe she figures that she can get through all this. But I would think you probably want to get rid of the Apple Bomb before you hit it with the Alex, just given that your win condition is usually Alex into Mind Blast and 3 Anduin shots. Even if you can get some minion damage in, and maybe she's confident that she can. But I don't see how that's. Well, I guess you can hit in with the Drake and then do something with the Pyros to clear off the rest of it, and then hit with the Alex. Maybe that's what she's thinking.
Yeah, I mean that makes some sense. Okay.
And Spirit Singer Umbra though.
Oh, and he gets to trigger
and
the Voodoo Doll right away. This is a cool interaction.
Wow. Yeah, that's really strong.
But is it enough? Is the problem.
I don't know.
I mean, if Toast just draws the other Mind Blast here.
Mind Control on the Apple Bomb might be worth it. I don't know what you can save Mind Control for, because I don't know what you think is coming out of this deck at this point. So Psychic Scream is reasonable too.
Yeah. Okay, and then just puts a little bit of pressure back on with the
Yeah.
Pyromancer. I was thinking maybe there'd be something like a play with like Wild Pyromancer and using one of your Mind Blasts or something.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Oh
And
wow.
That is some refill.
That is a roll the bones.
Oh, that is
Wow.
some refill there.
And draws the Umbra as the card that stops the chain. That's wow.
Oh man, and here goes the Illusionist, which is gonna summon another Illusionist, which is gonna summon a Illusionist, which is gonna summon a Apple Bomb, and game 4 life. Oh, and the Shadow Step on the Umbra. Oh man, this is just.
Goodness. That was something
fantastic.
I don't think I've ever seen before. That was incredible.
Oh, that was amazing. And now the problem is what does Toast do? It's so crazy because both of these games we've just been looking at at Jordan's hands being like, I don't know how he ever wins this game, and then all of a sudden he just goes crazy.
Yeah, because this Wild Pyromancer could be a disaster.
Oh yeah. She's gonna go for the
You're gonna
Mind
get
Blast.
a Cairn down and possibly an Umbra behind it to summon whatever comes out of the Cairn.
Yep, 2 more 1/1s.
Oh, that was
Now
a
she
pretty
can't even
good dodge.
get through. Oh man.
Yeah, I mean that ultimately that was probably the best case scenario because if
funny as
Umbra
that
and Cairn
sounds.
came down or Umbra and Applebaum came down, that would have been a pretty bad result.
Yep. I don't even know what Toast does here.
I don't know what you do either, honestly.
Because now you just know that Umbra's gonna come down and another Illusionist will come down.
Yeah, and now, you know, as he's healing back up, I mean, you usually think of Rogue as not being a healing class, but he's healing a lot, and that's really getting in the way of the Mind Blast win condition. I mean, maybe you can wait for him to draw through his whole deck and try to exhaust his resources, but I don't think this priest deck tends to work that way.
Oh man, and he's gonna do some trading first.
Oh, and there's the Cairn. Oh, wow.
Oh man, and without Potion of Madness, like, he just doesn't have to fear anything.
And then draws off the... Oh my gosh.
Oh, this is
This
beautiful.
is disgusting.
This is what this is.
We
what
may have to
come
put a
here
content
for.
warning on this match. This is terrible.
Oh man.
Wow.
A tactical error.
I mean, if you're ever going to emote in a Hearthstone match, I think that turn justifies it. Wow.
Oh man, what does... I don't even know what...
I don't know. I mean, maybe you
what
mind
she can
control a
do here.
Cairn, but... and then that clears off the rest of the 1/1s, but I mean... That's still going to
But
leave
then
another 4 or 5 behind.
another Cairn pops out. The other one isn't going anywhere.
I mean,
and
at least you're
Greenspeed
getting a
draws
4 or
another
5 of your
card.
own, though, because you're going to clear off your 1/1 that you're taking.
I'm just baffled
Yeah.
by this whole thing.
I have no idea what you do at this point.
That roll the
I mean-
bones was so crazy. Just
Oh, it was-
there was so
yeah.
much going on.
Oh, and now a Spellstone behind it, too. I mean, Greenspeed could just start going face at this point. You can just drop an Applebaum and just start hitting face.
Yeah,
And
I do think
I
you
don't know
probably
what else you
want,
can do.
I do think you probably want to just like upgrade your Karens into 4/5s. I guess
Yeah.
I guess that
Well, you
that
could do that by
risks.
taking out the 3/2. I mean, take out the Pyro. I mean, that seems like a pretty safe way to take that out and then get 2 4/5s. Drop an Applebaum and just start hitting face.
Right. I guess.
Oh, he decides to trade him with the Thalnos, and that's starting to get a little bit dangerous because he's starting to get kind of low on cards.
Right. He does need to end the game at some point. But I kind of wonder if you don't want to. Ooh, low roll. But
Yeah.
I kind of wonder if you don't want to trade in these Karens in case there's like another
Yeah.
Psychic Scream that you're worried about.
Yeah, I might have
So-
liked to see him just play the Ooze out there just to get it out of his hand before making that trade.
Okay.
But I mean, you know, at this point,
Is
he's gonna heal up for another 5
Yep.
with this Apple Bomb. Yep, and just start pushing face.
Yep, just has plenty of pressure, is at a high enough life total where he doesn't have to worry. This
Yep.
Primordial Drake just summons 2 4/5s. I think Toast is in a lot of trouble here.
I mean, Toast does have a Mass Dispel somewhere in the deck.
Right.
And
That'll
that
be real
and
good
she
when she draws
and,
it.
and she's only got 7 cards left, so
Okay.
she is likely to draw it soon. And taking that Apple Bomb does help a little bit.
Right.
So 1 Mass Dispel could potentially turn this around.
More card draw in the Elfin Minstrel.
Oh my goodness! I mean, that's the last thing he needs right now. Like now, he just needs to get through this Apple Bomb and start pushing some face damage.
Right. I wonder if he decides to use the Spellstone just to get in for a bunch of damage this turn. You could even like
Yeah.
play the Gluttonous Ooze and re-equip Dagger or something along those
Yeah.
lines. Oh, he's gonna draw a card here.
Yeah,
Getting pretty low on cards.
yeah, that's starting to get a little bit risky because I mean, I don't know what he's digging for.
Dollmaster Dorian. It's gonna
Oh,
be
I
his...
guess,
Oh,
yeah.
there it is.
There it is. Yeah. But now he's got a full board,
Right.
and I mean, he can't
play
have that
this-
many minions left in his deck at this point.
Right, and you don't want to play the Minstrel because
quickly.
you don't want to put yourself into fatigue. Maybe that's
Yeah.
got to be Toast's plan right now.
Well, I mean, I
is-
guess the one card that's left for Greenspeed that he hasn't drawn yet is Sonia's Shadow Dance.
Yeah,
which-
I mean,
I mean, just thinking about how disgusting this has already been.
but yeah, this Primordial
is gonna be
Drake's
a
gonna put Greenspeed basically almost into fatigue.
Yeah,
I'm almost out of cards.
it's gonna draw him a heck of a board, though.
Yep.
I'm out of cards.
And that's all of the cards.
That's everything. So that 8-drop is splitting Festeroot.
Oh yeah.
Oh my goodness! And
That's-
Umbra's on the board. I mean, that's gonna fill up his board though if he does
Right.
that. Okay, so we're gonna get the 4/8 out of the way. And then I'm not sure what he's doing after that, but
Well, it looks like he's
doesn't
playing
really
a
matter.
Cairn. Looks like he's probably playing a Cairn and... Oh wait.
I mean, Dollmaster Dorian doesn't really do much now. Yeah, just
No,
dagger
okay.
up.
Never mind. Can't play Karen out of mana.
Yep.
Yeah,
I
I don't
mean,
know what Toast does here.
If you divine him and heal face, that's 8. That brings you up to 16, and that puts him 1 off.
Right.
And then what? I mean, then maybe you just Mind Blast? Okay, she's gonna shield one of his minions. That Shadow or Death is not really what she wants to find. So she's got are those both Mind Blasts from her deck?
Yeah. She's already used one earlier, and
I mean, she's got a Mass Dispel, but the Mass Dispel isn't really helping right now. She could get a Psychic Scream, but Psychic Scream is actually, I don't know if that's good or not at this point, because then that turns on Dollmaster Dorian. Not that she knows that that's a thing that could happen.
I don't think Toast has any outs left in her deck.
I don't think so. She needed that Anduin.
Yeah, she needed that Anduin.
And that Anduin doesn't do anything now. I mean, it heals her up to 6.
Yeah, literally
all. Up to 8, that's not enough.
Literally, Anduin doesn't hit any. Does it even hit any cards in Greenspeed's deck?
No. I mean, it's useful as a combo piece for and if she got that like 1 turn earlier. But wow, that was something.
That was a game. That was quite the draw from that Roll the Bones. Roll the Bones really completely turned it around there for Greenspeed.
Yep, and we should probably just take a second to tell the folks when the other matches that are going to be coming up this week.
Right. So this week on the calendar,
we have Red Knight versus Alieri tomorrow night at 7 p.m. Eastern. Right. I believe that's being casted, correct?
Yeah, that one's going to be casted by Tom Locke and Steffi. Right. So that will be going on tomorrow at 4 p.m. Pacific time, 7 p.m. Eastern, and then we're gonna have an uncasted game between Ridiculous Hat and Eve at 9:30 Pacific on AM on Wednesday. But then that night you're gonna have a double header. With Brasky and Animor going to be casting both the matches between Breezy and Rod at 6 p.m. Pacific and Spivey and Nate at 8 p.m. Pacific. So that'll be a fun night of UHL goodness there.
Can't wait for that.
And then Thursday we got Storm Rage versus Andrew, a little bit too early for our casters at 2:30 Pacific. But that night, Cinder and Appa, awesome casting pair, are going to be casting Mike Lowe versus Chris from 1600 Dust. That'll be real interesting there at 7 p.m. Pacific. And then the last match for the week is going to be Versika versus Ziggy from 6 to 7 p.m. Pacific on Saturday. And it's going to wrap up the week for you. So make sure you guys put all that in your calendar. I'm sure that's going to be...
Yep.
We'll
the schedule's up at UnitedHearthstoneLeague.com, so you can go check that out.
Exactly.
And not all the matches will be on the stream, but as many as we can. And all of the casting teams are incredible, and we're both really excited to work with everybody in the group, and we're excited to be casting all these players. I mean, this is certainly, one heck of a way to start out the season. Let me tell you.
Oh man, yeah, it's been crazy. I still just don't even know what to say after that game.
Yeah, I mean, I'm almost disappointed that we're seeing like a normal deck from Greenspeed at this point, and normal being a Frostlich Jaina, Dragon Call, or Alana control mage. So against this, assuming that we already see the Anduin in Toast's hand. So this could favor Toast if she can find her combo pieces quickly enough.
Yeah, one card that you see right off the bat from Greenspeed that we haven't seen in a while is Pyros. The fact that Priest no longer has Potion of Madness is a huge boon for a card like Pyros. Just, Priest used to be able to just take that, and then they get all of the value. You lose out on so much value. And okay, Greenspeed's going to go for the...
Just start it off, yeah.
I mean,
the one thing The one thing that is relevant there, though, is that the deck did lose N'Zoth, which was the reason you were running Pyros originally.
Right.
So Pyros is not coming back a second time.
You will regret.
Oh,
Maybe,
that's not the priest mode I'm used to seeing when you play.
Maybe she forgot she was on Tyrande. Is it Tyrande?
Yeah, Tyrande.
Tyrande. And,
Or just Bay if you prefer.
Oh, got it. Because on Anduin, you're supposed. If I know the priest emoting metagame, when you're playing Anduin, you're supposed to threaten on the turn to heal, right?
Because the light shall burn you. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But with Tyrande, it's greetings usually.
Yeah. Blessings to you. Yes.
Yes. Blessings to you.
That's the correct play. But Toast decided to go off curve with the Tyrande. With the Tyrande emotes, and that's just fine. So just a trade and a ping into this Wild Pyro to get it out of the way. Yeah, this... you don't really have to worry about Medivh anymore, so the Acidic Swamp Ooze was potentially a play, but choose not to.
Yeah,
Perfectly
but
reasonable.
just seeing Pyros, you don't know necessarily exactly what Jordan's playing here. You might fear
could have
a card
Alan
like
to deal with.
yeah.
Yeah.
Ooh, and that's a good pickup there
That
for
Scaleworm is-
for
that
Toast.
Scaleworm is
Scaleworm.
clutch.
Oh man, taking out this Tar
Yeah.
Creeper here.
Yeah, that Scaleworm is really gives Priest something that really hasn't had, which is some way to be able to just proactively remove a minion like that.
I like this play here
Doomsayer.
from Greenspeed, tempoing out the Doomsayer to set up for the uncontested Pyros next turn.
Yeah.
And I
The
want
Shadow Visions.
Okay.
Just gonna roll again.
wonder what she's looking for here.
She's probably. I would imagine if I were her, I'd probably just be looking for more Mind Blasts.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Generally, Priest
Mass
doesn't.
Dispel's also reasonable.
Yeah, generally Priest does not, or Mage does not have a ton of healing options outside of Jaina eventually.
Yeah. And even Jaina requires Toast to play minions, which she can just happily not do in that scenario.
Right, she
If you
decides
got
to
to that
take
point.
the Mass
Oh,
Dispel
yeah.
here to take care of this Pyros, not have to deal with it with comboing it with the Shadow or Death to just be done with it.
Very heads up play, knowing that was what was coming down after the Doomsayer.
And Greenspeed has a somewhat awkward turn here. Water Elemental is not super strong. Arcane Tyrant without playing a big spell first. This turn normally would be the, not Flame Strike, but the Firelands Portal plus Arcane Tyrant, but knowing that that's no longer in the format, he has kind of a lackluster turn here.
Yeah, and Toast has some options. I mean, she can just get Anduin down if she wants to, though. I would imagine that until she's ready to set up the combo, she's probably going to save that for a Dragon Caller Alana if she needs to.
Yeah,
This Primordial Drake seems perfectly reasonable.
Yeah, based on the speed at which Greenspeed's playing this, it's much more obvious he's playing much more of like this big spell mage deck now. So she's kind of trying to figure out, when to play this Anduin. Gotta make sure that you get a bit of value from the Battle Cry, because otherwise, Greenspeed could just follow up with a card like Dragon Caller Alana, even though he hasn't played too many big spells yet, so it's not really going to do a whole lot.
Yeah, but, without having the Mind Blast in hand, I mean, we're getting close. But she does need the Mind Blasts with it in order to be able to set up that OTK.
Right. So what do you
Or I
think
guess
you
it's really a
do?
2-turn lethal. It's not really an OTK because it's not. It's 15 damage, but okay.
Greenspeed ends up just playing the Arcane Tyrant. Kind of interesting. Didn't want to go for... I was kind of expecting a card like Syndragosa to come out last turn.
Yeah.
Just really put some pressure on that Primordial Drake.
Yeah, and the Twilight Drake with the full hand seems pretty good. Cleric and then heal up the
Cleric
dragon.
again to draw?
That's a
Okay.
really strong turn right there. Oh, yeah, she's looking at the Divine Hymn, though that's not... I mean, that would
you can
heal
get
the
two-
dragon up to full.
Yeah, you can get 2 draws by doing it this
Yeah.
way, though, if you wanted.
Yeah, or
She's
chooses
gonna
not to.
decide against it.
Yeah. Because that Divine Hymn could be useful later for some burst healing too.
Right.
Raven Familiar.
I was kind of expecting a Blizzard to come out this turn because you can Blizzard ping off the Northshire Cleric and trade our Arcane Tyrant into the Primordial Drake.
Yeah, I mean he could just Flame Strike and trade. That doesn't stop the Twilight Drake though.
Yeah.
Still decides to Blizzard.
Okay.
That Divine Hymn's going to come up huge now, though.
Yeah.
If Toast can make the room in her hand, well, I guess it's only going to be 2 cards, so she could draw 2 off this right now if she wants to.
Yeah, it kind of feels like a pretty good draw here, right?
Yeah, and she wants to find those Mind Blasts because she's real close right now.
Ooh, Dustbreaker.
There's one.
Not the best draw, or not the best card in this matchup per se.
Yeah, but just fine. Yeah, and then she's gonna bring down the Enduit so she can start the train with one Shadow Visions in hand. She's fairly likely to find the other Mind Blast with just 12 cards left in her deck. So definitely going for the Alexstrasza into Mind Blast. And you know, even if she just hits with a minion or something like that, then she really does want to get that started as quickly as she can, because as soon as Jaina comes down, that's going to put quite a damper in her plans. And Greenspeed doesn't have much of an answer for that right now. I mean, he's got a lot of cards that are good value, and he can heal up with Alexstrasza, but healing up with Alexstrasza is really not going to help him because the combo is designed to do 15 damage in 1 turn.
And with Mages losing Ice Block, you know, he doesn't have that safeguard there to be able to kind of take lethal damage and then heal back up with Alex. So interesting to see what he's planning to do here. You really want to kind of set up the Servant of Kalamos. But okay, gonna go with Flame Strike. But it's not gonna kill the Twilight Drake. I wonder how Greenspeed's gonna get out of this one.
Well, he's probably just thinking he can do that over 2 turns, right? Because she can't heal it anymore, but that's not really what he needs to be worried about anymore.
Nope, he needs to be worried. Okay, Meteor's a solid pickup.
Meteor doesn't really help him, though.
Well, she only has
Meteor does not help him because she can go ping, Mind Blast, ping, Shadow Visions, ping, and that's 11.
Oh, okay. So
he doesn't know that, obviously, but I would expect as soon as you see Alexstrasza coming out that you're in big trouble, and he doesn't have a way to heal, so that's probably going to wrap that up right there.
We'll see if Toast sees the line. I wonder if she even has enough spells left where she might just be guaranteed on the Shadow Visions to find the Mind Blast.
Oh, she is looking for the Mind Blast. She's not. I don't know if she's.
Nope, she's
she's
counting.
She saw it.
Yeah.
Yep, she saw it.
Realizes this will be enough.
And finds the Mind Blast anyway, so it doesn't matter.
And Toast is gonna tie it up. We're going to a game 5.
Yeah.
Oh man.
So we're gonna go back to the Control Priest, Control Mage versus the Shutterwalk Shaman. So get a snack, because we may be here for a little bit. And you know, I would imagine, I don't know what you think, I would imagine that the Shaman would be favored in that matchup, just because it's designed to be able to just take out a deck like this that takes a really long time to set up.
Yeah, I would think that considering that Mage no longer has Ice Block, like I was just saying, the Shutterwalk should be able to kind of save its hexes, because a lot of the early minions aren't that scary for Toast, and just kind of set up your game plan, use your hexes on the really big minions, and as long as you get it, or the Pyros, and you know, just get enough draw to be able to pull off the combo. We saw it seemed like the reason she kind of lost the game that she lost was that she just didn't draw Grumble. That's kind of one of the scary parts of playing a deck like this, is just that if you need to have each one of the combo pieces, if you don't draw one of the combo pieces, then it's going to be hard for you just can't win unless you go for like a desperate Shutter Walk combo and just hope that they don't have like a removal spell or something.
Yep. But it'll be interesting to see how this plays out. I'm not, I mean, I like to play the kinds of decks that Shutterwalk preys on, so.
I mean, that's kind of been the story, right? Is just the most people have been playing the more aggressive decks to try to prey on decks like Shutterwalk. We'll see if it's going to be Toast's Achilles heel here. I really think she is advantaged, but she does have to draw all the combo pieces.
Yeah, well, she's got one in her hand right now, which is the Saturday Chain Gang. So, and she's gonna hold on to that.
Ooh, all right,
and Frostlich Jaina in the hand for green speed. So that's the one piece that he's gonna be looking for. Unfortunately, he's also got Dragon Caller Alana, which he doesn't really want right away.
Oh man, I don't think Toast is very happy about how these games have gone. She's out for blood.
I mean, I can't really blame her. So
doesn't hit on the Raven Familiar.
Yeah, and that's gonna be the most expensive card in her deck, or spell in her deck too, right?
Right. And, Loot Horror coming out for Toast, gonna get a nice, well, probably just gonna get pinged off. And Greenspeed just wants to try to put on pressure early, try to get Toast life total. You were talking about Frostlich Jaina earlier, and normally that's like your best card in almost every matchup. The biggest issue is just that in this, it's just not aggressive enough. You're much more happy to have a card like Dragon Caller Alana. And
but it does give you a way to create a lot of pressure, and a lot of these minions are small. So, at least it gives you some way to start creating pressure and start, getting minions on board, which we don't really see. I'd love to see him at least set up the Voodoo Doll to try to keep this to one draw off the Acolyte.
Yeah, you either set up the Voodoo Doll or the Doomsayer, right? It's
one or the
same.
other.
And then you push 2 face damage here. I think I prefer the Doomsayer because the Voodoo Doll attacks for 1, I guess. Yeah. Kind of. Maybe. I guess it costs 1 more mana, so it's a little less flexible.
Far side on the healing rain again.
Yep, another free healing rain. Not exactly the card you're super concerned with drawing in this matchup, but Greenspeed's gonna make sure she only gets 1 draw. He picks up a threat, kind of, in the Dark Reaper.
It's a very slow threat, yeah.
And then I kind of wonder what Toast's plan is now.
Chain Gang makes perfect sense here. Yep. It's as safe as it's gonna be. It protects her face. No reason not to play it. She needs to play it eventually.
All right.
And
here comes that Arcane Tyrant that Greenspeed kept in the opener. Kind of an interesting keep. I guess it's one of his highest powered minions for the least amount of mana.
Yeah.
But I would have thought you wanted something a little, maybe just a little more aggressive, like like another Raven, or even like Pyros would have been better. But
I was wondering if you ever grumble now and just get more chain gangs.
I don't think you want to, because as I was saying, one of the common play patterns is to actually grumble one of your murmuring elementals. That way,
that would also expose her to 5 face damage too if she did that.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Greenspeed
a meteor.
knows he needs to be somewhat aggressive here, so uses the meteor just to push a bit of face damage, trying to put Toast on the back foot a bit. Knows that he needs to end the game before it gets too late in the game.
Yeah. Oh, and that's really. That Saturday Chain Gang protecting the Mana Titan Totem is huge.
Yep. Greenspeed really needs to draw a card like Flame Strike here.
Yeah, and he doesn't.
Arcane Artificer is not the one.
He could polymorph it. He could Voodoo Doll and ping it. Because the way that you lose is letting the Shaman draw cards.
Right.
So that Mana Tide Totem needs to be a dead totem walking right now, and he's got ways to deal with it. It's just a matter of what. Those are all valuable removal tools he's going to have to use on this Mana Tide that he would much rather use on something else, probably. Presumably, he'd rather use it on a taunt that's going to keep him from doing face damage.
Right. I mean, and this Baron you really want it to come down, but you want it to come down so that it's pushing extra damage and it doesn't clear
Yeah.
anything on Toast's board. Like, you can
Yeah.
put your Tar Creeper in to take out one of the chain gangs, but that's not really doing a whole lot. And so this Mana Tide's just going to kind of keep drawing cards for Toast here.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't know how much the Baron Geddon helps you once you get into when Shutterwalk's coming down, but that is a full heal every too, presumably.
Right.
Once Jane has come down.
Interesting. So he goes for the Polymorph on the Mana Tide, makes a lot of sense. I
Yep.
kind of want to just play this Arcane Artificer out, honestly. Just like, we're not worried about gaining armor. If she's going to kill you, it's going to be in one turn.
It's like Quest Mage. It doesn't matter how much armor you have unless it's like in the hundreds.
Right.
Basically. So we get another Mana Tide that we can play. Witchwood Piper is a possibility. Thalnos could come out. There's a whole lot of ways for Toast to draw cards, and she needs to find some of her combo pieces. She's halfway through her deck, and she's really just found Grumble and the Saturday Night Chain Gang at this point.
Yep. But Witchwood Piper is gonna draw a good one for her.
Yep.
Maybe not the best
or
one.
Or another
but...
Doomsayer. Maybe that's okay though.
Yeah, you could just play out. You could have played out like Doomsayer and Thalnos there, but ends up going for the Mana Tide. If Greenspeed had to use the Polymorph last turn, then the Mana Tide seems pretty safe. But that Flame Strike
pickup is huge.
Quite good.
Yeah. Gain 7, clear a board, push 5 face damage. Seems good.
So now what does Toast do? I think Toast is probably looking at something like a... This seems like a reasonable time to use one of her Volcanoes.
Yeah,
and then,
especially because she picked up the second one.
Yeah, and then you can drop either Doomsayer and an Acolyte or a Witchwood Piper. Piper seems fine. Okay, so she's almost there.
There's the Murmuring Elemental, and passes without using the Healing Rain.
Yeah.
I guess she feels pretty reasonably safe at 16, and no reason not to against this deck.
Yeah, I think I probably just would have used the Healing Rain there, honestly. But next turn, she's set up to actually just play Murmuring Grumble.
Yeah.
And then as soon as you draw Shutterwalk, you're pretty much good to go.
Yeah. And the Jaina there is probably the best play that Greenspeed has. There's not really anything else that he wants to do, and then that Geddon can come down and just serve as a full heal every turn if he wants it to.
Yep, I think you just I think that Toast just wants to attack face for 3 and okay, gonna go for a Hex this turn.
That's fine. Yep. And clear off the taunt rather than attacking first and take off 3 of the armor. But I mean, the armor doesn't matter, right? Like once the combo happens, all that armor is going to go away anyway.
All right. Ends up playing out a Thalnos. Okay.
The Alexstrasza is not super helpful. Oh, that's sick. Voodoo Doll, kill a Doomsayer, get a 3/6. Not bad.
And play an Arcane Tyrant. Okay.
Yeah. And the Arcane Tyrant's an elemental too, so that also gets lifesteal. Not that that's really relevant right now, but Sandbinder comes into hand, can pull another. Do we need another elemental at this point? Because we have the Murmuring Elemental.
No, I think you just trade into this Arcane Tyrant, get a lot of power off the board, play Murmuring Grumble, and then
maybe you do Sandbinder first just to get the elemental out of the deck, so you're drawing something better.
Well, the problem is you don't have enough mana to do all of that.
Oh yeah, that's fair. Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, she trades, and then he's gonna play out Sandbinder, and then
Another Murmuring Elemental.
Huh. Okay. Wonder if she goes for the 3-mana Healing Rain this turn. Totem.
Yeah, seems like it's a good time for it.
Okay.
It's not really. It doesn't really have a whole lot else going on right now. And the Water Elementals aren't super scary when they're not healing your opponent's face either, and when there's only one of them.
Right. So, kind of interesting. Okay.
Oh, there goes that Alexstrasza.
Yep.
So
Brings
the other
me
Healing Rain will
realizing
address that.
The wants to put some big stuff out on the board. Ooh, there's the Shutterwalk. Okay.
There we go.
So
what are we missing from the combo now?
we're not we're missing Life Drinker is the last card.
Oh, right. Yeah.
So
we could start Shutterwalking, but we won't do any damage with it.
Right, but
Yeah.
but we have so many battle cries that draw us more creatures that it should draw us the life
Yeah.
drinker by just doing the first combo. Unfortunately, she did not roll high enough
Yeah.
on that to get there.
No
Okay.
taunt on the totem, unfortunately,
Yep.
but the healing rain will help. And I mean, there's no pyroblast or anything. I don't believe that there's any like pyroblast or anything like that in Greenspeed's deck that's going to help. I mean, it's basically Dragon Caller Alana's his and Baron Geddon to a lesser extent are his last big threats.
Right. I'm wondering if you just Flame Strike Pyros here and set up for okay.
Yeah,
This
that's
is
fair
better.
too.
This is better. You get the water elemental.
Yep.
Instead is a little bit more powerful than a Pyros.
There's
Okay.
another Doomsayer.
So I think this turn I like setting up going Murmuring. Okay. She goes with the
Just gonna
Volcano.
clear the board off. Yeah, I mean, she's got all the time in the world right now. Really.
Okay, there you go. And now she sets up this so
Yeah.
she can Murmur Grumble.
How many big spells has... Well, I guess it doesn't matter because she's not going to play that into a Doomsayer.
Yeah, so Dragon's Fury probably pulls... Oh, that's the perfect pull.
Wow. Yeah, that's pretty good. So we clear off the Doomsayer, we ping it off, we make a Water Elemental, we can drop Pyros behind it for another 2/2 that's going to heal face.
And the thing is now that he has a board presence, he
Life
can, and both volcanoes have been used. This Dragon Caller Alana's can go uncontested.
Yeah. So you could Murmuring Elemental and Life Drinker. And at least, I mean, those are things that need to happen, but she's still got 2 turns away.
Right.
But that does accomplish 2 pieces of the combo. So now she needs to Grumble next turn, and then start Shutter Walking.
I mean,
Is
if
Servant
I'm
of
green speed here, I'd probably just play out the Dragon Caller Alana.
Yeah.
Like, you're
running out of time.
There's just nothing that Toast just doesn't have any cards left to be able to deal with it.
Yeah. I mean, maybe you trade the 3/6 into the taunt. You trade off the Pyros just to get it off the board and make more room. But he's going to go for the Servant of Kalimos. Those are not great options.
No, they are not.
I mean, I don't know what... I mean, I guess you want a Blaze Caller, but even a Blaze Caller, I don't know that that's doing that much for you.
I think you just ping the Murmuring Elemental and push 3
Or maybe
face
you
damage.
or maybe you use the well, the other option was to use the Fire Plume Phoenix to take out the taunt and then push 5, but
Is now.
you really, well, I don't know if you wanted to get the Life Drinker off the board too to help, but it's kind of academic at this point, I think.
Right. Okay, so she pushes face here, Murmur, Grumble,
Get a couple more Life Drinkers.
and then probably play out that Life Drinker again.
Both of them, yeah. I mean, she
you
can play out
just-
both, right?
No, you just
Or-
want to play. You just
Oh,
want to
you
play
wanna
the
hold
Life
one, yeah.
Drinker because in order to guarantee the combo, you need to.
You need the Murmuring Elemental at 1. Yeah.
So
Yep.
Greenspeed really needs to.
Yeah.
Greenspeed really needs to get some pressure going. I think you're right. I think you do trade off the. You trade off the Pyros and play Dragon Caller Alana, and I believe that should put enough power on board for you, you to be able to win.
Time melts
Do you ever
away.
get in here?
No, I think you just need as much power in play as
Yeah.
possible.
Because the combo doesn't do anything to the opposing board. So if he can set up 30 damage, he's thinking about that Geddon though, and he's thinking the same way I was thinking, but I don't know that that's the right
Must
call.
decide.
Because you really just want to set up 30 damage that the Shutterwalk doesn't matter, and you just go past it. But it looks like he's going to create as many water elementals as he can. Is that enough damage? Maybe. No, it's not going to be.
Yeah, it's not going to be enough damage. So
He's going to take the Life Drinker off. Okay.
I think we're about to see the combo.
All right, sell in, everybody.
Here's the start of it. So she goes. She plays Murmur, Shudderwalk. This will.
There's nothing that just draws cards without them having a condition, right?
And here it goes.
And
Longest animations ever.
this is the scourge of Reddit for the past 3 days. So
Right.
enjoy.
Yep.
If you're seeing it for the first time, this is what everybody's upset about.
And there's the Grumble returning the Shudderwalks. Now, so she's not going to win this turn, but unfortunately Greenspeed doesn't have enough damage in order to be able to win. And with both life drink, well, she's played 2 life drinkers now. It's going to deal well over 60, capable of dealing well over 60 damage the next turn.
Yeah, especially because she's got 3 in hand. At least 3 in hand, probably more by the time we're done. Depending on it's not constant because the order of the effects is random. But yeah, his voice is also kind of annoying, I have to say.
I love it.
And okay, so that did 12 damage.
Right.
He's gonna do 7, 10, 13, 16 plus Geddon's gonna be another 2 is 18 to face. But
he's gonna heal. He's gonna heal back up to full, but
it's not gonna matter.
yep, these Shudderwalks are gonna be plenty.
Freezing the Shudderwalk isn't even really gonna matter. It just keeps it from attacking this turn. But
Yep.
and here comes Alana and all of the 3 5/5s, but that's 1 turn too late.
Yep, she goes to 14, and then
Yep.
Murmuring,
And here we go.
and Shudderwalk,
Round 2.
and Shudderwalk, and Shudderwalk, and Shudderwalk.
Yeah, I mean she could just load them all up. It doesn't matter.
Yep. And that's gonna be it. So I'm gonna just get this set up here while we watch these lovely animations going on.
Yeah. I think we're gonna need a bigger boat for all this draws.
I love the meme of my jaws that bite, my claws that catch, just over and over in caps all over everywhere.
I mean, it's just appropriate that it also has how long can this go on as part of the game. Not necessarily these animations, but just that it's it's coming.
And it's still the problem is it still has to just go through all of these.
Yeah.
All of the animations.
I mean, Greenspeed could concede, but I mean, you gotta let Chost have her fun.
Maybe it's not 30 damage.
It has happened to me.
only-
I got left one off, flew past them and hit face for lethal. So
All right, so I'm gonna set this up.
and I heard that they sped this up too, which is kind of scary.
I don't know. Do you think they sped it up already?
I heard somebody say that they did. Of course, this is all this is all circumstantial evidence, so who knows?
I love how the rope hasn't started burning yet.
No, it's. Yeah, I mean, what is it? Is it if the end turns yellow, then or if it doesn't turn green? I don't remember.
See, I gotta figure out how to add multiple people to a conversation.
Oh, there comes the second one. Okay. Well, we're almost there.
Almost there. One of these days. Alright. So I'm gonna be adding...
Oh no, we're gonna burn cards.
I'm gonna be adding Toast to the call here.
There we go. There it is. Okay. And well played by both players. That was a match. That was certainly a match that is very, very representative of what we would expect from opening day of UHL. Wow.
Wow, what a way to end it.
Yeah.
Oh, Toast, are you there?
I'm here.
Oh,
Hey,
congratulations. Well
That
fought.
was-
Thank you.
You had to work a little bit for that one, it looks like.
I am never fucking playing Shaman again. Whoever said this was a good deck is full of lies, and I hate them.
Well, you don't have to play it for at least 3 more weeks.
Oh man.
Well, congratulations on your win. So, what were you thinking when you came through with this lineup? Like, what was your thought process going into picking the classes that you did?
Well, I picked them before I had actually opened any cards or taken a look at anything. I scrolled through my feed and people said, these are good decks. So I picked those decks and I went to find that, well, Shaman, not so much. Q-Block, well, Q-Block, that's just a standard. Nothing's changed from that, but...
Yeah.
No.
So how did you prepare against Galvadon Paladin?
Well, I quickly Googled what Galvadon actually did. Got a little refresher on that.
Yeah. What were you expecting Greenspeed to bring the decks that he brought?
No one can expect that. No one expects Death Rattle Rogue and Galvadon Paladin. And... I should have known coming from him, but really, who can predict Arthas?
I mean, he's a very good boy, and he should be in a deck. It's it's a reasonable play. I mean, honestly, the one deck that he lost with was like the normal deck, so maybe he was onto something.
He was, well, he and I were on a Skype call the whole time we were playing and just chatting back and forth. What the hell are you playing?
Oh, that's awesome.
I mean, we knew ahead of time, and I looked at the list as he sent them to me like, Toast is not going to like this very very much by the time we're done with this match, but you managed it really well, and so with the Alex Straza against the Death Rattle Rogue, was that I don't know how much you've played the deck. I just want to know what your thought process in that, because that was one thing that kind of knowing how that deck wins, it seemed a little bit early to do that, but ultimately you had the damage, but just couldn't deal with the roll the bones from hell, basically.
That roll the bones.
See, you guys had the advantage of knowing what the hell he was playing.
It doesn't help much, I assure you.
I didn't realize I had all that crap coming at me and all those death rattle draws over and over and over. I was thinking I could get this over in a turn or two. I was sorely mistaken on that.
Well, anyway, I just want to say, once again, congratulations. I know this is your first United Hearthstone League. We are so happy to have you join. Why don't you go ahead and, while I have you here, plug all of your content. Make sure everybody watching can find you, your Twitter, your stream, all of that goodness.
Well, I unfortunately am not like all the cool podcasters here, but you can find me on Twitter. I'm at Toast the Badger, and on Twitch, I occasionally stream, and I'm hoping to do more. Also, Toast the Badger.
Awesome. So yeah, make sure you check her out. Off to a great start. We'll have to see how things go in the coming weeks. Do you already have an idea? Maybe thinking of some classes that you're going to be bringing for next week, or is it way too early to tell?
Oh man, you give me way more credit for preparing for this than you should.
All right.
I'm gonna wait until like the day before and see what all the good players are playing and go from there. That's my plan, at least.
Wow. As long as you're prepared for Galvadon, then you'll be all set.
Fuck.
Well,
Fuck Galvadon.
well, thank you again for joining us. Thank you, Wicked Good, for co-casting with me. Thank you so much for everybody who came out in the chat and was chatting away. We have a lot of improvements that will be coming out as we kind of get this get the whole streaming casting thing going. So make sure you check us out later in the week. I want to plug again the Patreon. It's patreon.com/UnitedHSLeague. If you like the content that we're producing, make sure you stop by there and become a patron. Check back tomorrow about a little bit before 4 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern to watch Red Knight versus Aliri. It should be a great match, and we'll catch you.
Can't promise
next time.
Galvadons, but it should be a good match nonetheless.
And with that,
your audio cut out there for a second.
nope. All right, and with that, we're out. Thanks, everybody.
All right, thanks a lot.